Hey team, so we've got a simple process for you to run ahead of our next sessions for one of your fellow members, or to just come on the call and do it on the call. Now, we're happy for you to prepare if you prefer, but this is something we can actually do live on the call. If you do one beforehand, then you can do another one on the call. And by another one, I mean write a recommendation using AI. So really simple process. We've provided you with a prompt, with a structure, with a little process that can be done in a matter of minutes to create a really good recommendation for a fellow Now member. So in Now, there's actually a tradition that you're supposed to do and write a recommendation after you meet with someone. So if I organise the meeting, you as a recipient, as the invitee, then write a recommendation on me, because the initiator gets the kudos, right? So if you've never done that for a Now member, and you're a member, and you've been around a while, and done lots of I2Is, up your game, what are you up to? Get it sorted. But we're going to help you anyway, because we're going to do it a few times a quarter now on the call. So, because, hey, why not? It's easy. Why not do this? So with that in mind, let's get into this really simple process that we've tried to make as easy as possible for you. These might not be perfect assets we give you, perfect prompts, perfect setup, but ultimately it's a good starting point, a little bit of effort, like literally 10 minutes, and you're going to be writing recommendations. Another 10 minutes, you're going to be able to refine them and refine the prompts to suit you. And once you've done that, from there on in, it will be a couple of minutes per recommendation. So with that in mind, let's take a look at this process. Here's what you're going to do, right? I'm going to try and keep this as succinct from here as possible. We're going to give you one way to do it. You're going to take a bunch of recommendations. Here, hang on a minute. You want to see that? We're going to take a bunch of recommendations. Here's one I wrote earlier. This is one I wrote for Clayton. Have a read of it. It's really quite lovely. But I didn't write it using AI. I wrote that with my old-fashioned Mark 1 brain. Would you believe it? But what we can do is we can use that then as an example. Or I said, oh, that didn't work, did it? Let's go back there. We can use that as an example, which you might need one of those or two of those to train your own AI or GPT. But I've got a pre-trained GPT, I must admit. So that makes this slightly easier for me still. So what I'm going to do, what guarantees the result, is going to actually sound like me. You might have to work on that a little bit after running this prompt, but you probably won't, to be honest. Or you could simply edit the text that the GPT spits out, do that 2 or 3 times, and tell it to save the revisions. And all of a sudden, it is trained in how you want to write recommendations. But in this case, we're not talking about that. We're just going to grab examples, like so. Boom, 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 boom. So I'm just showing you in real time. I'm not going to carve any time out. I'm not going to take any pause button moments. I'm going to show you in real time. I'm just going to grab 3, just to make this speedy, to give you an example of how you could do it in the speediest way possible. So we've got 3 recommendations in there. Now I'm going to go to the prompt that I've created for you guys and that you can utilize to make this all happen. And in this same doc, I'm going to save a link to this video as well. But I'll also drop that video in our group chat so you can get prepared or be ready to run it ahead of our next session, whatever session it might be that you turn up for. Anyway, so here's our prompt. So we've got persona, layout, limits, persona, intent, layout, limits, audience, requirements, and style. So I'm just going to grab that prompt that I've already written. I can teach you about that prompt in another video. I'm not going to do that here because I'm trying to keep this short and sweet. But I will quickly show you the prompt structure that I've used so that you understand where I'm getting this all from. So basically, it's a pillars structure. It's a really nice thing, this. It's a nice, easy AI prompt. Persona, who is it? Who I want the AI to mimic. So in this case, it's me, right? So I'll just put in some information about what that means. Intent. What's the intention, the desired outcome for this output? So what's the intent for what the AI is going to write on your behalf? What's it actually going to do in the world? Cool. Layout. How do I want it structured? LinkedIn recommendations. That is so simple. You don't really need to worry about it too much here, actually, in this particular circumstance. Limits. This one is really important. So word counts, character counts, things like that. Scope and boundaries. What don't you want the AI to talk about? What don't you want it to mention in this recommendation? So you could include some don'ts if you need to. Audience. Who's going to be reading it? That's really important. This will actually tie in quite heavily with the limits and the style, I should say. So audience and style kind of go hand in hand because the style is affected by who is going to read it, of course. So that they kind of dovetail into it together, but we want to supply some demographic information. So in this case, we say LinkedIn audience. If we were really smart with recommendations, we'd ask the AI to structure it with the ICP of that person in mind. So if you're writing this about a now chum, one of your now colleagues, then maybe think about their perfect client that you've heard about in the last 3 or 4 introductions that they've done on the call, the 60-second marketing pieces that they've done on the call. Think about who they've been asking for and actually ask your AI GPT to actually tailor the recommendation to reach that ICP, to really be structured or have vernacular words that are going to trigger those people to want to engage with that person, that now member. Cool. So that's the audience. Requirements. What must be included? So what do you want in a recommendation? We've actually provided you with a recommendation format in the network activation protocol. I'm going to drop it in this document as well, so you can use that as a template, and that can be your requirements for this prompt as well. Easy. And then style. What is you got to define the tone, the voice, any visual preferences if that's relevant. It won't be in this case. Include brand guidelines and formatting. For you, really, it's all about the copy tone. Best way for you to say that, use this example. Pull out a recommendation or two you wrote in the past, use that as an example. Or just copy from posts is good too, or a mixture of the two. That'll set up the style nicely. Use this as a style example. Great. That's the prompt. That's the pillars framework. So nice, easy AI prompt to use, but it will make sure that your prompts are, yes, comprehensive, but extremely effective at the first time of asking, which often means you save time in the long run. So that's the document there. I am going to go and grab our LinkedIn recommendation structure from the NAP for you, and I'm going to drop it in there right now. So I will pause for one moment, team. So we're 7 minutes in. I promise it's not going to go past 10. That's the deal here, team. So look, I've added in from the network activation protocol. If you haven't looked at the network activation protocol yet, if you haven't looked at the native networking course yet, maybe you should, because these little bits of advice, all of this content you've seen here is in there already, available for you to make you a better networker. Boom, that's what it's all about. So I would encourage you to engage with course content in the very near future. And if you want to do that really intentionally, I know exactly where to go and do our quiz, our new quiz. You can find it on my LinkedIn profile. There's a link to this quiz that will set you up to know exactly what area of the course you should be focused on. And there's videos and instructions at the end of the quiz that will tell you exactly where to go. Cool. Otherwise, book a meeting with me and I'll help you find stuff. And it won't take long at all. Anyway, back into this. So we've got our pillars, we've sorted that out, but now to refine that further, you can actually use this core structure: relationship context, specific value demonstration, personal impact, professional skills. So you can use that as the requirements area. So you could drop that in your requirements, at least partial part of the requirements, but actually a pretty bloody good requirement set. So you could use that to help structure out your recommendation. But you could also use this example that's kind of a generic version, a template version. So you can drop that in there too. All of that can go in the requirements, and that will take this to another level. So you can start really making it easy. We're starting to make it really easy on you now. So what that's going to do is going to make sure that the recommendation follows a really healthy structure that actually provides relationship context. We want to do that because people need to know, how long have I been working with Clayton? How long have I known Michelle? How many of her courses have I taken? What products of hers have I trialed? I need that information to provide credibility context. So that's really important. Then specific value demonstration. I'm not going to label why that matters. That's really clear and sort of does what it says on the tin. Personal impact. This one really is important, and I am going to label it a bit. Emotive context. What did it do for me? Why did it make a difference? I'll give an example. Michelle Hill recently run a business planning prompt set against a bunch of data I gave her on Now Group. And what she gave me back was an amazing, 7 or 8 documents or more that was all analysis on where I'm positioned in the market. It was a business planning, like on steroids session. And all I had to do was give her some information. You can actually go and do a workshop with Michelle that will help you do this. And I am telling you this, and I'm shamelessly plugging it because it was absolutely brilliant. We're only halfway through the process. I'm going to get some follow-up. Me and Michelle will run through these docs. Then I end up with a microcosmic business plan, i.e. daily steps I can be taking to hit my strategic targets for the year. Now, I've got some of that stuff in place, but it's going to give me a finer tooth comb. It's going to refine it down. I really don't need that for me per se, but I think it's going to up my game and hold me more accountable. Do you know where it's really powerful? If you've got a partner, if you've got an investor, if you've got someone in the business like, let's say, our group Pioneers in Our Group, you want to show the roadmap of success and the level of detail you've created to get there, that sort of asset could be powerful. Anyway, that's enough of a plug for you, Mrs. Hill. But I genuinely mean this. It's a brilliant, brilliant process. Now, why am I mentioning that? Because I'm writing a recommendation on that this week. So I'm sharing that with you because it is relevant to what we're talking about here. But what's my real point is I'm going to be able to talk to that impact in a recommendation really well. So when you write this using AI, I'm going to make sure that I put in some clear emotive statements like say, you must include this. So how would you do that using this prompt? I'm actually going to put that in my requirements, or you can put it in your limits or layout. So it can go in any of those places really, but make sure you say, you must include these 4 sentences. So I'm going to say, I recently gave Michelle some data. She then produced a set of business planning documents for me. They have absolutely taken so much of the thinking out of the next 6 to 12 months of my strategic business execution, and that is making all the difference to me. And it's also enabled me to talk to my partners with absolute efficiency, clarity, and detail. And that is an amazing place to be in, and it just makes me feel really good about the next 12 months. That's something I could include in there, because why wouldn't I include that, of course? But I'm using that example because here's what will take it to the next level. Use AI by all means, but add in something real, something deep, something really emotive, and include that in your personal impact and your requirements in the prompt. Awesome. Professional skills. So yes, the other way you can do this is pick the skills from the profile. So go to the profile and look at the skills listed. Look at the ones you know best about that person and make sure they're featured in this prompt as requirements. Cool. So I've kind of gone well over, haven't I? Blimey team. I should have prompted myself. Apologies for that. But you get the point. And I've, you know me, I like to do things comprehensively. But what we've been left with here is a full prompt that you can follow to write LinkedIn recommendations. Nothing more complicated than that. However, this could save you quite a lot of time. So spend this 12 minutes, write 5 recommendations that day, and you've got that time back, and we're all winning and happy. Until, or failing that, at least try it on one and start revising your GPT or training something on this stuff, training some sort of AI platform on this stuff, so that you're prepared to get even quicker in the future. And that's where the ROI will come as this is used. Compounding. That initial effort, the value of it will compound across time, of course. And I've gone to this initial effort to give you compounding value, because that's what Now Group's all about. Thanks so much for listening. I look forward to running this with you in a near assembly in no time at all, i.e. Cornerstone, Optimize, Prime, whatever comes next for you. I'll see you there. We will have a crack at this and start producing extra goodwill for our Now members. You. Awesome. Thanks so much for listening. See you out later.